Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Aiden,
Hi, Dan.
and we're going to be talking to you today about attribution theory. We'd like you to keep this in mind as you're watching our vlog. Okay, I have a couple of questions that I want you to keep kind of asking yourself, or at least thinking about. How and to what do you attribute your successes and failures in life? Do you succeed because of your ability? Is it lack of effort the reason you struggle sometimes? How does the difficulty of the task factor into your achievement? Is luck a factor? These are the questions around which attribution theory revolves. Attribution theory falls within the general area of motivation, affect, and cognition. Essentially, attribution theory hopes to understand how we perceive the causes of our successes and failures in a particular endeavor or series of endeavors. Attribution theory relates to human development in the areas of cognition, emotions, behavior, and subjective perception of the self. The underlying ideas and assumptions made by attribution theory are essentially that we as human beings are constantly seeking causality, or cause and effect relationships, in consideration and in the hope of understanding our successes and failures. Though there are a multitude of factors that impact a person's approach to a task, to a given task or assignment, the perceived cause and effect relationship is a major factor in motivation. Some of the major or important foundational thinkers in attribution theory are Fritz Heider, who's the father of attribution theory, Bernard Wiener, who was heavily influential in thinking about the emotional and motivational impact of success and failure, specifically in the educational context, and more recently Carol Dweck, who also talked a lot about motivation and how we see ability or our skill sets. Ben?
Okay. So, taking attribution theory a little bit further and to dissect it a little bit, we're going to break it down into three sets of distinct characteristics, or what we call the continuum of causality, which sounds rather sci-fi to me, a little bit Twilight Zone. The factors that are considered when looking at this are the locus, stability, and the controllability. And that could even be broken down even further into the ability, task difficulty, effort, and luck. So whether the student deems him or herself able or not, how he or she considers the task difficulty, hard or not so hard, the effort or lack of effort, and luck. And so, for example, if the student is blaming him or herself for the success or the failure in the assignment that you're doing, that's internal. And if they're blaming or looking for the cause, something external, that's looking toward something out of in the environment. So, for example, if a student comes to you and says, we won the game because of our skill, or we lost the game because we did not practice, versus I passed the multiple choice test because I guessed, or I failed the test because it was way too hard for grade 7 English, we see if the student is looking for the cause, something that's within themselves or something that's on the outside. As well, stability is the second factor. If it's something that is more likely to continue in the future, to remain the same, that's stable, versus something that's unstable. And for example, if a student comes to you and says, I'm good at math because it runs in my family, or I can never be a soprano because of my deep voice, we know that's something that's stable and that's not going to change anytime soon. But if the student comes over to you and says, well, I failed the test because I was really tired, that is something that changes from one occasion to the other. In general, the third factor is controllable versus uncontrollable. And we see that, for example, if a student tells you, I'm really good at painting because I practice every day, we see that student's effort, and the effort is within that student's control. Versus my teacher likes me because she had my brother last year and he did well. The student is just saying that it's something that's out of their control, and the success and failure has nothing to do with the student themselves. And so we looked at a number of attribution theory does touch upon the affect, the cognition, and the behavior. And if I may, just to touch upon a few points that stood out to us in our readings. So there are a number of emotional elements in failure, If the failure is due to internal factors, the students will be sad, but if it's blamed on external factors, the student will be angry. So internal versus external will create different emotional feelings within the student as well. When the students attribute their success and failure to unstable factors like effort, they will not have as much expectations for the future successes, and their failures will not damage their self-efficacy because these are some things that they do not attribute to something that's ongoing, that changes time to time. So with that in mind, I want Aiden will talk to you about how we could take attribution theory on a more hands-on approach as teachers.
Yeah, thank you. One of the critical assumptions that we have of attribution theory is that any individual will interpret their environment and their achievement in such a way as to maintain the most positive self-image possible. So we don't like thinking that we've done things that have directly contributed to not allowing us to succeed. Success is usually because of the things that we can control, and I'm sure you see this in your students where they say, I did well because I, and then make a value statement. Or when they fail at something or struggle with something, the factors are usually due to things that they can't control. I failed because they did something, or I failed because the test, the assignment was too hard. So the core conceit, or the core concept in attribution theory, in terms of motivation anyway, is that a person's perceptions of the reasons for success and failure will determine the amount of effort that person expends on that activity or similar activity in the future. And this is really something that we can always teachers can take away from this, because we do have our students constantly have the opportunity to do activities that relate to the things that they've done in the past, scaffolding and such. What I'd really like us to take away from attribution theory is the idea of attributional training. And this is really where we can get our hands on, or cognitive receptors, or whatever you want to call it, on with our students. Teachers are very influential. I think we all can agree that we have an opportunity that many people in other professions don't necessarily have. We can help students choose how to see success and failure. Training students to alter or develop their perception of causality in regards to success and failure can alter expectations for future successes, increase their levels of persistence, and improve their performance ultimately. We can train students to perceive themselves and the outcomes of their endeavors as active participants with a degree of agency in those outcomes. If a student fails, we encourage him to choose an attribution that can change, something that is unstable, like the amount of effort that he puts in. By improving on that particular attribution, rather than saying, oh, I didn't do well because it was bad luck, we can get a better outcome in the future. If a student is successful, we want that student to choose an attribute that will not change drastically over time, something that's stable, like innate ability, rather than again saying, oh, I did well on that multiple choice quiz because I guessed C every time and I was just lucky. Through attributional training, negative outcomes can be reframed and used as motivation in future tasks. Positive changes in expectation, effort, performance can be garnered by developing a new perception of causality, one which allows the student agency and power in crafting future outcomes. The question might be, how do we do this? And it's a very, very simple answer. Talk to your kids, right? Get an ongoing dialogue. This is what we mean when we say attributional training. Have conversations. Ask the kids the same questions at the start of our vlog. How and to what do you attribute your successes and failures in life, in school, in this assignment? Do you succeed because of your ability? Is lack of effort an issue? How is the difficulty of the task factor into your achievement? Is luck a factor? So all of these things might help us to train our students to give more positive or more beneficial attributions.
On that note, dealing with students that have challenges or special needs, it's ever so more important to know and to understand IEPs, because you want to know, is the student passing or failing due to their lack of effort or effort, or because of their ability or lack of ability? Ever so important. So with that in mind, attribution theory is common sense. It is important. And I think as teachers, we could all utilize this with all of our students, especially with those with special needs. On that note, on behalf of Aiden and I, We'd like to wish you a good day. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.